Oh, I knew looking at the camera. Is that where I'm? Okay, I just want to make sure I'm here, bro.
You good now?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, let's get it, bro.
All right. You ready? You ready for this?
Hello, audience.
Couch Potato General Manager back again, recapping another game during week 1 of the 2020 NFL season. And with me, joining me, CPGM Headley. I am CPGM Juice. And Headley, we're going to get into the Sunday night game between Los Angeles and the Dallas Cowboys. And just off the bat, just what were your lasting impressions of that particular game?
Well, lasting impressions?
Lasting impressions, yes. What did you take away when it was all said and done?
You talk about lasting impressions. I'm gonna go straight to the pass interference, the offensive PI from Michael Gallup. That was a big call right there. He did extend the arm. I agree that it was a pass interference. You know, Jalen Ramsey kind of did the little flop, but that's what you gotta do as a DB, man. When a receiver gets his hands on you and extend his arm. So, good play by Ramsey right there. I thought. You
Go ahead.
like that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's Jalen right there, bro. But at the same time, I thought a big part of the game was at the beginning of the fourth quarter with the Cowboys down 3. It was a 3rd and 6. He ran the ball with Zeke. It was a good look. You know what I'm saying? It was a light box. I'm not mad at it, but he only got 3 yards out of that play. It was 4th and 3. The Cowboys couldn't convert third downs all game, so I would have kicked the field goal. I know that the chart, McCarthy said the chart said to go for it, but if I got 5 yards, yeah, I would have. Even 4, a little closer to a first down, I would have went for it. But yeah, I didn't like that play call, and then the offensive pass interference sealed it. So those are my last impressions.
Yeah, we could definitely start there. My thought process with the OPI that was called on Michael Gallup, which was a huge play, negated, I believe, like a 46-yard passing catch late in the game. I thought if you go by the letter of the law, yes, that was offensive pass interference. But if you watch that play, you see the arm bar from Jalen Ramsey. You'd rather not see a flag on that particular play. But if you're going to call that by the letter of the law, it's actually offsetting penalties. It was actually offsetting penalties because Ramsey did do an arm bar inside. Now, of course, it was out of the vision of the actual umpire, referee, whomever the official was in that particular part of the field. But I'm of the mindset that they're both hand fighting down the field. I'm swallowing that flag, particularly when you miss other calls throughout the game. There was that Aldon Smith contact to the head of the quarterback that resulted in an INT. Particularly when you're missing those types of egregious calls, I felt like both players were kind of hand fighting. It's physical. Gallup is a physical receiver. Ramsey mixes it up. I think you probably let that one go, but if you're going to call it by the letter of the law, that is offsetting penalties as far as I'm concerned. You mentioned the decision of Mike McCarthy to go for it on 4th and 3, deep in the Rams' end of the field, as opposed to kicking a field goal to ultimately tie the game up or to attempt to tie the game up. And the thing is that from the time that they decided to run that ball to audible to a run because of the look on 3rd and 6, the decision had already been made. You know what I mean? The decision had already been made. So we can certainly debate it. I'm with you. I probably go and get those points. If Elliott gets 4 to 5 yards, we're having a different conversation. But the play that they actually ran on 4th and 3, I'm not sure. I can only speculate. But that route, the drag route that he ran, the crossing route that he ran across the formation, tried to leverage some of the mess to get away from the defensive back. It's either that play call, the design wasn't good, or the rookie receiver didn't get enough depth on that play. So regardless of the decision, the execution of the 4th down play, I thought was problematic.
Yeah, I agree on that, man. That was a great play by Jordan Fuller, the 6th-round rookie. I give kudos to that. He didn't give up on the play. He got behind the defender, and he attacked the football. So good play there. But, yeah, CeeDee Lamb probably could have ran it a little deeper to get closer to the first down. So, like you said, the execution, man, I agree with that.
Definitely. So if we back it up, obviously those were some seminal points of this particular game. This game, also had a theme, I thought, based on what the Rams were doing offensively. And of course, they made it a point to get the ball out of Jared Goff's hands really quickly. I believe Collinsworth had said during the broadcast that Jared Goff's average depth of pass throughout his career is 8 yards. At one point, it was a little over 2 yards. They were not taking any chances in terms of that offensive line. That offensive line was much maligned last year. Dallas has some guys who can actually affect the pass rusher. So they really came in with a game plan as far as their pass offense to really get the ball out of his hands quickly. I thought he did a good job of managing the game. And then, of course, the Rams, I was really impressed with what Sean McVay did between the 20s. Not inside the 20s, but between the 20s, right? He stuck with his game plan in terms of rhythm, get the ball out quickly, and they ran the ball 40 times. You know, that's very, very unlike that Rams team. If you harken back to that divisional playoff game, I believe, when Dallas played the Rams in the playoffs a couple seasons ago, you know, it was C.J. Anderson and Todd Gurley that both ran for over 100 yards. I haven't seen a commitment to the running game from the Rams like that since that particular game. So that was really refreshing to see. They leveraged and used both of their tight ends, Higbee and Everett, because those guys create matchup problems. I thought they were really multiple. My biggest concern or my frustration with the Rams offense in particular was when they got inside the 20s, they were entirely too conservative. I understand that it was about getting the ball out. There were some drops, a couple passes that were bat down. I mentioned the INT that was forced after what should have been a penalty when Aldon Smith got some pressure on Jared Goff. But when they got into the 20s, they bogged down and they weren't able to cash in on a consistent basis. They actually missed the field goal as well. So what were your thoughts in terms of the Rams' offensive game plan, and what do you think of Goff's performance?
I love the game plan by the Rams. You know, run the football. Their offensive line, like you said, they had some issues protecting the passer last season, but this season they looked like they wanted to get physical.
Yeah.
Ran the football, and then Vander Esch went down. I knew that was a weakness right there, man. Just keep running the football at them. I think the Cowboys going forward might struggle against the run without Vander Esch. So, you know, if they can't stop it, man, just keep doing it, man. Malcolm Brown was a beast out there, and he was running hard. So I do like the game plan for McVay. And with that Rams offense, man, they play off of that, man. When they're running the ball well, they can play that play action. They do the level concepts, and that's their whole offense. So the biggest issue for Jared Goff going forward is if the run game is not going, how are we going to do in the pass game? That's something that McVay and Goff have to figure out when their run game is not going well. But Jared Goff, man, the stat line didn't show it, but he stood in there. He made some great throws. He even had some drops, like you said earlier, but he was slinging that thing, man. So, you know, I think Jared Goff played a pretty good game. You know,
I thought both quarterbacks really had a great command of their respective offenses throughout that game. I thought there were some concerns in terms of when they had to hold the ball a little bit longer and get more depth on their routes. That's when you saw, you know, some pressure get and affect the passing game for either side. But I thought in general, when those guys were able to hit that back foot and let it rip, both quarterbacks really impressed me. You alluded to, you know, the Rams running the kind of the same thing over and over again and running play action off of their running game. And the misdirection that the Rams utilize and all the motions, the pre-snap motions and guys, you know, coming back across the formation on the routes underneath and even with the levels concepts, to your point, it gives Dallas trouble. Dallas is a fast-flowing defense, particularly at the second level. It's a lot of eye candy, and it's very difficult to diagnose. It wasn't until really in the later parts of the game that they were able to start to remain with their respective assignments and play assignment football and make plays on the football. At that point, they had given up a lot of third down conversions. And then on the other side of the spectrum, on the other side of the coin, even though Dak had it going and later in the game, the offensive line started to lean on the Rams front seven a bit more, and Elliott started to find room. Elliott actually looks really good starting this season. It looks slimmed down, looks like he's in better shape. He wasn't tapping the helmet to get that blow. You know, he was really pounding them later in the game. The Cowboys struggled with third down conversions, and that's why they bogged down. So switching over to Dallas, what did you think about their offensive performance?
The Cowboys offense Sunday night, man, I thought Aaron Donald just ruined the game plan for them. He was always in the backfield. Dak couldn't get comfortable. But I think it'll be better days ahead for that Cowboys offense because, like you said, Zeke looks really well. I think they just got to fix that right tackle. La'el Collins has to come back healthy.
Right.
Had a little issue over there. But offensively, man, you had 3 wide receivers where Amari Cooper was my wide receiver 1 in that draft class. CeeDee Lamb was my wide receiver 1 in this draft class. Michael Gallup's your wide receiver 1 in that draft class with my wide receiver. So they have a lot of talent offensively at the wide receiver position. I know they lost their tight end, Blake Jarwin, for the season, but it's so much firepower out there, man. So if the Cowboys can't produce offensively this season, it's probably going to be on Dak Prescott.
I honestly think Dak is going to be fine. Even though you had that monster out there in Aaron Donald, wrecking shop, giving guys like Zach Martin, who is a perennial All-Pro, trouble. In the interior of that line. I think Dak looked good. I think he looked really good. You know what I'm saying? They had some concerns over there with Terrence Steele, the undrafted rookie free agent. They're making a start there at right tackle. That came back to bite him a little bit. But as you mentioned, that trio of receivers, the fact that the trio of receivers is going to force defenses to play with a light box. Okay, you get your offensive line healthy. They're going to be difficult to stop. The question then becomes, what are they going to do defensively? This team is built, as it appears, Aldon Smith looks like, the Aldon Smith of old, despite a 5-year layoff. They bring in Everson Griffin. We think DeMarcus Lawrence will be better this year. So they can get after the passer. Are they going to be able to hold up if they don't get home, though? That's really the question. I thought Trayvon Diggs actually had a good game. He was in position quite a few times. The throw was just better a couple of times. But he was encouraging. His performance, rookie, their second-round selection in the 2020 NFL Draft, that was encouraging. But you mentioned it. Leighton Vander Esch went down again. That looms huge for their run defense. Jalen Smith continues to look like a fish out of water, as far as I'm concerned. The Rams didn't necessarily push the football down the field on a consistent basis, but there was a play there at the game that could have really ended the game where they ran a boot, they moved the pocket, they ran a boot, and Cooper Kupp got behind one of the defensive backs. Goff played it safe, but if he lets that go and he drops it in there, that may have been 6 points. It certainly would have sealed the game, in my opinion. So it remains to be seen whether or not this defense can hold up. They brought in Gerald McCoy. Of course, that didn't work out. He went down with injury. Interior pass rush seems to be a bit of a concern. And if they're not playing with a lead necessarily, are they going to be able to get stops? What do you think about Dallas's defense and what has to happen in order for them to improve?
That second level, man, they need to find a free agent run stopper somewhere out there. I'm not sure who's out there, but they need to improve it right now because Vander Esch is probably going to be out for half the season. And I don't think they're going to last as a run defense with Joe Thomas and Jalen Smith in the middle. So they need to fix that quick, fast, in a hurry if they want to be a championship team. But that offense, I think that's going to carry them through the season. Hopefully they get leads, like you said. They could get after the passer.
That's a tough pill to swallow because when you're not able to, and don't get me wrong, the Rams averaged a total of 3.8 yards per carry, but they were on schedule. They were never down behind in terms of down in distance. They weren't off of schedule. So that 3.8 yards per carry as a team wasn't an issue. It was actually very, very effective. They dominated time of possession. Those third downs were manageable. They were able to make those plays. They were able to execute at a higher level. And again, the name of the game is getting off the field, which is very difficult to do these days in this day and age in terms of offenses and how the rules are designed to promote offense. So as you mentioned, there's some personnel concerns at the second level. You know what I mean? I don't know if this team is all that great at stopping the run. It's not as if they played a juggernaut. Even though the Rams were coming off the ball and they wanted to be physical, they demonstrated some physicality. This Rams offense, particularly at the line of scrimmage on the offensive side of the ball, their offensive line isn't overwhelming. Andrew Whitworth is a good player. Rob Havenstein is a good player, but there's a lot of young players there in the interior as well. It'll be interesting to see what Dallas does in the coming weeks to kind of mitigate that. Are there any players, any individual players outside of the guys that we mentioned in terms of Aaron Donald, Ezekiel Elliott, that you thought were really impressive, looked really good week one?
Other guys, we mentioned Aldon Smith earlier. He looked impressive after that 5-year layoff. I thought Malcolm Brown was running hard, physical. Once Cam Akers get up to speed and Darrell Henderson also, they might have a triple threat back there in the backfield. Robert was Mr. Dependable, Mr. Reliable. Nothing about what he did surprised me. It's just status quo for Robert Woods. So anybody for you that you saw?
I mentioned Trayvon Diggs. I was encouraged by the way he played. Van Jefferson had a bad drop. I thought he had a bad drop in that game, but I expect his role to grow. Yeah, okay. Johnson, the safety for the Rams, he's back healthy. I think he's a difference maker. I wasn't terribly impressed with your boy Ramsey though, man. I wasn't terribly impressed. Ramsey's a baller. Don't get me wrong. I just thought, they worked him a little bit. And I'm gonna put this out there. I really want to have this conversation with you. This is really what I wanted to talk about. Who's the best receiver on the Cowboys roster?
Who's the best receiver?
Yeah.
Man,
Who looks like that guy?
CeeDee Lamb to me looks like that guy.
Oh man.
CeeDee Lamb looks like
CeeDee.
that guy.
You know I love CeeDee, but I think that boy Gallup. I think that boy Gallup got something different about him, man. It's you know what it is? It's his physicality. You know, CeeDee Lamb obviously has a ton of ability. He's a rookie. You can see that he still needs to fill out. He still needs to get a little bit stronger, a little bit bigger, and that'll happen with time. I feel like now in year 3, Gallup is ready to be the guy. You know, there was a lot of conversation in terms of Mike McCarthy leading up to the season saying that, you know, Michael Gallup's not the secondary option, though Dak has a pretty unique chemistry with Amari Cooper. He's like, no, this is a receiver 1. We have multiple receiver 1s on this team. So I'm really excited about the prospects of Michael Gallup here moving forward.
And that's crazy to say, man, that, you know, I said CeeDee, you said Gallup, and they have Amari Cooper on their roster.
Sure.
That's Dak's guy. You know, he just has to stay healthy. But those receivers, no team has 3 corners to stick those guys.
No, and that's why I think we both agree that Dallas offensively, we understood this going into the season, particularly when they have a healthy offensive line, they're going to be a problem offensively, assuming they can get some of their concerns under control as far as converting on third down, play calling, execution, work out some of those kinks. The talent that we've been talking about, Dallas's talent, or the masses, I should say, have been talking about Dallas's talent for years now. I don't know that they've been more talented offensively at the skill position. It remains to be seen whether or not they have enough along the offensive line. As you mentioned, La'el Collins, once he's back, that certainly bolsters the right side of their line. What did you? I want to point out another player that maybe not many people are thinking about. Had a bit of an up and down game, but what do you think of Connor Williams at left guard?
I like Connor Williams coming out of college, man. I liked him as a tackle.
Right.
I thought he was a little too weak to play inside, but it looks like he's got in the weight room. He's getting a little stronger. Even though Aaron Donald is a beast,
Aaron Donald.
Player,
yeah,
he had some good reps against him.
He did.
He held his anchor and played strong. So, you know, I definitely like what I saw from Connor Williams on Sunday night.
Yeah, I was encouraged by that, and the Dallas Cowboys fans should be encouraged by that as well. Then you obviously have Tyler Biadasz and guys like Connor McGovern in the wings there. So I think once they settle in, once everybody gets healthy and they settle in, I think that offensive line will continue to be one of the better offensive lines in the NFL. And like I said, you know, outside of perhaps the tight end position, this team is explosive. We didn't even mention Tony Pollard. He didn't get a lot of burn, but you can see how dynamic he is as well. Yeah. The one last question I want to ask you about with respect to the Cowboys is, what do you do at tight end? Dalton Schultz doesn't look like he's varsity.
Yeah, he's not. He's more of a blocking guy coming out. He's not a receiver threat. Check out free agency. Check out if you can make a trade. You know, there's a lot of good tight ends on depth charts, like second or third tight ends on other teams. So maybe a low-level trade, man, to get a guy that has some receiving ability.
You know, Mike Tannenbaum was on Twitter, and I don't know if you saw it. But he made the point that, you know, rarely do teams do interdivisional trades, right? And he suggested that the Eagles and the Cowboys should come together to do a trade.
Eagles ain't doing that.
No, but listen to the trade though. Listen to the trade though. It's Zach Ertz, who obviously has a contract dispute right now, and of course Dallas Goedert had a big game this past weekend. Dallas Goedert, I think, is ready. Zach Ertz for Zach Martin. Come on.
I wouldn't trade Zach Martin.
No,
man.
Of course not.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that one.
Of course not. I can't believe that a former 2-time GM, right, 2 different organizations actually thumb that out on their phone or whatever device that they use and hit send. But, you know, we all make mistakes. Any lasting thoughts on the Rams, particularly on the defensive side of the ball?
The Rams, I like the energy Leonard Floyd gave. Aaron Donald continued to be a beast. I think the second level of the Rams, they could be had there. So just like Dallas Cowboys, man, they need to
very similar.
On the second level, not just in the run game, but also in the pass game as well. So I think that's the weakness right there on that Rams defense. Offensively, I think Van Jefferson just develops more into that wide receiver 3. I think they're going to be just fine without Brandon Cooks this season. And let's see if they could keep running the football with that offensive line, because, like I said, man, that offensive line in that run game is the key to that Sean McVay offense.
No, it absolutely is. And you know, my final thoughts on, as you brought it up at the top of this, was when you have to do the straight drop back, when the defense knows that you're throwing and you're not able to leverage the play action and the misdirection and move the pocket, are they going to be able to hold up? Is Jared Goff going to be able to hang in there and make the throws? Because when Jared Goff's clean, Jared Goff throws as pretty a football as anybody in the NFL when he's clean, when he's in rhythm. But under those circumstances, when it's no secret as to what you're doing, you know what I mean? And that offensive line has to hold up for over 2.5 seconds. Can they be consistent? Can they push the football downfield on a consistent basis? That remains to be seen. But I thought, like I said, I thought both offenses really showed an ability. I thought the Rams had an excellent game plan and they executed at a very high level. Dallas looks to be incredibly explosive. Both teams have some concerns, in particularly at the second level of their defense, and ultimately we'll see. It was just the first week, so we'll see how things ultimately play out. Before we go, any fantasy advice you want to give the folks out there?
Malcolm Brown will be on my waiver wire edition on the website, consultatogm.com. Check it out. And the Cowboys, man, I think they play the Falcons next week, man. So you can start all your wide receivers.
All of them. Load up.
Load them up.